Okay, so I'm doing another addendum to the previous one about Get Shorty. So, as I was standing there, and I was just before I done the video, I seen a car go by and it had a kayak on top of it. Um, to you, that means nothing, but to me, that's the spirit. So, trying to tell me that it's more than just a fire because the kayak on top, it was sitting in the air, so that's air. The kayak itself is water, and the road that it's driving on it is earth. Okay, and then because I just got done talking about fire, it means all those elements have been corrupted. So my original theory in the book was that they put the Titans away for and settled them down in the big sleep, and one in each of these universes. But to me, I don't think they did that. I think they grabbed all eight of them and brought them up here with the expectation that if they had all eight Titans in there, that they could take over creation forever. But they didn't realize that, mom and dad could reincarnate. So I theorized that it's just mom and dad in this one here. And all the Titans are in here. If all the Titans are in here, it's going to be a lot more complicated than, just me and her, becoming pure. I'm assuming that all of it, it's a worldwide job. I said that in my other book. I said, it's not as easy as just her and I. I remember I said that in the other book where every atom in the solar system has to be pure. If every atom in the solar system is pure, that makes this pure. If that's pure, those Titans that they have in the brain there, they should, in theory, become pure. And that's something that they don't want. We'll seize that fire there, because right now they have it. So they've been using us as kind of like a guinea pig. Guinea pig here is a staging ground to commit sin. They use our bodies as aids in the bedroom, if you catch my drift. They go to the clone store, you pick up an aid, you bring it home, and you play with the toy. So there's spirits in the brain. We're two-spirited. Mankind is two-spirited. So we have a spirit here in this universe, which is right there, and then down here in this universe is a spirit. So if we purify ourselves down here, it should purify the spirit up there, or it should purify that atom there, which is part of the Titans. That's the Titans right there. That's the Titans. That's the Titans. And that's the Titans. And that's the Titans, Titans, Titans. And that's as far as it goes. Because these are the plants, animals, insects. These, not yet. So, because they have our other cells up there, if we purify ourselves down here in the heart, there's a quantum entanglement with that spirit up top. So the theory is, well, basically, by working together, we can purify all the clones they got up in the universe here, in that universe. We can purify all our clone spirits, which means those clones atoms, those clones quarks, and that particle there. That should all become pure. If those become pure, well then the Titans become pure. If the Titans become pure in there, the theory is that they might remember who they were. They may wake up and wonder what the heck's going on. How come I'm up here? And that's how we could get them out of their prison that they're in. So that's the work that I had put in all night, and I think that's what they're putting their eggs in the basket. That's why they're so confident in themselves because they have all 7 of those Titans locked up, along with all mankind's spirits, and we're like the catalyst. I can't do it alone, is what I'm telling you. I need every single one of you to become pure. We need 100% participation in this. Then and only then can we fight against them. So when you do the purification down here, you're going to purify every atom in your body, which connects to your spirit, your second spirit up here in this universe, and purifies your clone body up there of sin. And when that happens, we seize control of the brain. Dopamine will be back in our power. The Titans should wake up, break free, and take over the atoms, the quark, the soul. So all of them being up there is, that's not a good thing for them guys. So I theorize once we're all pure and you purify the spirits up there, that's when Mother and I can, bind our souls and become pregnant. So during that time, like I said, it's got to be between 7 and 11 years, I would assume. I'm going to say it's going to take 13 years to do all that. Minimum. It may take longer, for all I know. So a lot of work has to go into play. I believe that, if we walk down this path, commit ourselves to it, that one day when we fall asleep, if we get where we're going, we'll notice. We'll notice a noticeable change, because once the power shifts, once that last person makes the difference, we can we'll probably enter the spirit world, which is a place you've never seen before. It's a lucid dream where you fall asleep, and then you instantly know that you're dreaming, and you can walk around, you can talk to your spiritual self over here. You'd see your Adam self in that dream. There'd be another person there, just like you, that you could talk to in a dream, and you know it's a dream. So to get there is a very complex process. It requires raising, all of mankind's people that have passed on for the past 20,000 years, which is, I think, 2 billion people. Plus, we have to resurrect 4 billion people of the people that have joined us from the Fire Nation and all the 4 other nations, if that's what's going on. So, so there'll be 4 billion people here. When we resurrect those people, there's going to be 4 billion people on this side and 4 billion people on this side. They're all going to look the same. So we're going to have 8 billion people there, plus 4 billion people that are normal here or that are alive. So that's what? 4, 8, 12 billion, plus another 2 billion that are asleep. So that's 14 billion people that all have to be awake, do this program, and that's quite an extensive process, because everyone has to purify themselves of sin, because we can't, every clone that they have up there for the last 20,000 years has to be purified of sin. And that's quite an extensive process, because imagine resurrecting a caveman from 20,000 years ago and try to talk to that guy with a language that no longer exists. That's where we would need all of Earth's linguists. All those linguists are going to have to learn how to talk caveman and teach them, what to do, how to do the purification, what to say. So that's quite an extensive process. That's why I say it's not 7 years, it's not 11 years. I'm thinking more along the lines of probably 79 years. I think it is going to take about 80 years, or probably 88 years. I say that because on Solo, Chewbacca, I think, is 129 years old, I think he says, or 229 years old, something like that. So this process is probably more along the lines of a minimum of 100 years. So we're in it for the long haul. It's not something that's going to be really short and quick. Like if you're expecting to, defeat evil in, a decade or so. I don't think so, guys. This is a long-term project. Now, I'm trying to play nice with these guys by getting them to, bring my UFOs here today so that they can finally do the right thing. And if they do, then we don't have to wage war against them. If they don't bring those UFOs, we'll be in a war against them. And when we seize control of the elements, there's certain things that one can do with microwaves. We could position UFOs on either side of the planet here and microwave that planet. That's the power that we could do. So, I'm trying to avoid that. I'd rather us just have peace between us for these last whatever, how many years it may be. And so that I don't have to make sandwiches for the, the robotic queen and my twisted, Titan son, Paul. But these guys keep pushing their luck, and this is why I'm making these videos, so maybe I might finally get my UFOs today so that we can begin the long inroads. We'll leave them alone, they leave us alone, and we can, do what we both need to do. And then when that time comes, at least they get to, they get to, remain around for who knows how long. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'm not thinking it's going to take 7 years. We're looking more, probably at least 100 years or more. During that process, our scientists have to learn this cloning technique. So, if we can develop that phone, it might help us. Like the guys up top could help us if we could develop some sort of technology to call them. But, I got to make sure that ain't a trick, because, it could be a trick from evil to try to hurt my spirit and grandma's spirit with the gold. So that's what I ultimately think it is. So I don't really want to put my eggs in that basket, because this entire magnetosphere is not pure. So I don't want to do that phone. We could research it a bit for something in the future, but I believe it's a trick. It's another spiritual trick to try to, hurt me and mother. So we're probably, like that Star Wars thing, solo, flying solo. What just me is your spirit guide or code talker, and trying to get messages relayed from people's spirits. That's how I think we can do this. That's what solo is about. It means we have to do this solo for quite some time. We can't expect stuff to come in here to us for quite some time. That's the revised plan. So, if we begin the purification process, we might be able to create some UFOs here. We might. The more people that are pure, the more people that will come online. Like if they try to, if you purify yourselves and they try to, sleep with your clone, it would harm them. Like they literally just, because the clone will be pure, and you can't do that. It's like having inappropriate, relations with something that you're not supposed to do, which would harm them. So it turns those clones into weapons. So that's the battle plan. Now, I needed to say that because I think that's what they're putting all their eggs in their basket. They're like, well, we got this, we got that, we got this. So let's look at the atom here. So I'm going to show you this other theory. I had this theory where I know that we have elemental spirits. So this is the atom. I theorize in my drawings, like you'll see here, I put everything in that fire electron. And I think that's why they're betting on it. They're like, look at that drawing he has. He has everything in the fire electron. He assumes everything's in the fire electron. Well, it doesn't make sense, really, because if you have water as your element, well, it would make more sense that if that's your element, water, and that's your spirit, well, then it would make more sense that everything that's supposed to be in there would be in there. Meaning the cork would be in there, your soul would be in there, the universe would be in there, that and that would be in there. So I think that's what they're betting on. They think I don't know that, but I have that as a past theory. So I now have to let them know that I know that already. So then, if you have Earth as your element, well then that one there, this fire electron, so all of these particles would be in that little Earth neutron there, and that would be your Earth spirit. So all of that would be in there. And to me, it makes sense because if you have Earth as your element, is a soul, then you would need that earth neutron is your spirit. Earth and I think it's earth and what is it? Let's use so fire and spirituality go together. Water and love go together. So if you had a love soul, then more than likely you need that this particle would be in that water proton. So you had a love soul, right? For water. Water would give you, if you had a love soul, you would have a water spirit. If you had a life, I can't remember what it was. Look at that. There it is. So, so I think life goes with earth, health goes with air. So if you had a life soul in this ring here, then technically you should be attached to that particle. You shouldn't be in that firewood. So I think that's what they're betting on. That I don't know that. So this is the revision. So if you had a life soul, then all of these particles would exist inside of that particle right there, or this one here. All of them would exist in there. And if you had a health soul, all of those particles would exist in here. So if you had that, then the cork would be in there. The soul would be in there. The universe would be in that one. All of these things would be in that particle, and so forth. The same with that one. This would be life. This would be love. And this would be spirituality. So that's something that I didn't. I touched on it in the other book, but this one not so much. So that's what I think's going on. I just wanted, Paul and Paul the alien and Christine, artificial intelligence, to know that. If that's what you guys are gambling on, not coming here and playing ball with mankind, you better think twice. I've given you all the facts. Now it's up to you to, do the right thing for the last time, because we could have peace for hundreds of years, or however long it may take, decades and decades. And if you want to walk out of this without, me resurrecting Dracula and Attila the Hun and sending them up there to make you sandwiches, I suggest you listen and give me what I want. Because, this is it. If you turn me down this time again, you're going to see me turn into, that, what was it, the werewolf. Or the bear. And you don't want that. I don't want it. So please, guys, for the sake of yourselves, for the sake of your civilizations, bring me what I want. Those 7 UFOs. So we can have peace instead of war. If you don't do it, you know what's coming. A war. A very long war. So this is, I'm making these videos, mankind, because they might finally say to themselves, okay, we've played ourselves right to the end. I think, I think, I don't think we want to mess around with those guys, because if he can sway them, we're kind of cooked, So they might, if you see UFOs Saturday, because it's Saturday night, it's all right for fighting, you can come here, watch these videos, you can understand why they're here, that we're in a war, the bad guys lost, they gambled, they kept gambling and gambling and gambling and gambling. And if they don't come here, they're going to gamble again. What is it? What did I say? This is the 11th time. Something tells me that we'll probably get them on the 13th. Well, because that's my secret number, right? 13. I think they're going to roll the dice because they must have something else up their sleeve that I don't know about. And the only way I can find out is they continue on, moving forward. I'm betting that they're not going to come here because they probably have something else up their sleeve. And if that's the case, you know, they're on their 11th try. They only have 2 more moves before it's checkmate. 12, 13. So, we'll see how it goes. You know, why play yourself right to the end? What did I tell you before? I don't like procrastination. I'd sooner see you guys do the right thing now because it would show a bit of a, respect. All I'm going to tell you is this. If you play out those last 2 moves to 13, and this becomes a long war, I want you to know that your sentence is going to get doubled. It'll go from 7. If you make me do this to 12, it's going to go to 14. And if you make me go to 13, it's going to go to 21. You like gambling? Let's gamble then. You've heard of blackjack, right? You want to gamble? Because you've been gambling this entire time. Let's gamble then. If you don't do it today and you roll the dice, it doubles. 14. No, actually, 21. I'm betting that you have 2 more moves left and you're going to play those moves out. And I'm telling you now, if I don't get my UFOs today, Dracula and Attila the Hun are going to be making sandwiches for 21 years for both of you guys.